Hey friends, Ari here. Thanks for tuning in and welcome to another episode of Deep Thoughts Thursday. So today I wanted to share with you my thoughts on finding a voice and learning how to use it. And this is kind of a both literally and metaphorically speaking. But let me start out by saying that each of us have a voice, a particular voice, and it's not a choice what we're given, right? Some people are tenors, some people bass, some people are, obviously high-low ranges or have thick voice, thin voice, bright, dark, what have you. And there's a lot that we can do within a range, and there's a lot we can do to develop a full range. But fundamentally, we can't change our voice. And there are some voices that are suited for conveying certain sounds or certain mood feelings, right? And again, like I would never make a great like a screaming sort of a heavy metal type singer. I just don't have it in me to be that. And although I love some metal music, I really do. It's not. I don't even aspire to sing metal songs like Bruce Dickinson, for example, Iron Maiden, right? I mean, the guy has just ballsy, amazing, huge operatic voice. Me no, right? So we are given each our voice, and we are tasked to develop it to full its potential, but also we need to come to terms, so come to accept what it is that we have and try to figure out, okay, so how can I use my voice in a way that it is most fulfilling and it's most valuable and most effective, most expressive, what have you, right? To use it to its fullest potential, which very much includes finding out what it is that you have and then learning how to use it. Which is a great metaphor for just life in general, is that, and I observe this in like my kids too, like so much of our personalities is hardwired in us. And me being like a big introvert and this thinker, I mean, that's who I am, right? And I love people, but if I spend too much time with them, I get drained. Can't really change that. So what I do is, okay, I realize that, I accept that, and then I go, okay, so knowing that's who I am, what kind of lifestyle, what way of life will serve me, and if it serves me, then it serves other people, because people around me get to be with me being happy, and that's a good thing. So it's really not productive to fight who we are, and it's really not that useful to deny or accept or force ourselves to be something that we're not. But yet a lot of times we end up doing that for fear that as we are, we're not acceptable or attractive enough or valuable enough, and we end up wanting to do or be things in hopes of fitting in or finding a place or being wanted in the world. And I've spent pretty much all my life doing that, and I'm still trying to unlearn those tendencies. And those beliefs, the beliefs of wanting to or having to be something other than yourself, come from both sort of outside in and inside out. In my opinion, of course, when we were little, we don't have any means of discerning what kind of messages we receive and take in versus what we reject as not true. So we believe everything that we're told, and if we are told certain things, or if the society or the culture sort of gives you certain input, we become products of that, and things like body shapes, certain personality types get more valued or seem to have more easier time being accepted or desired than others, and that makes those of us that don't fit those, that don't possess those characteristics, go, I wonder if I need to be more like that in order to be more desired, accepted, popular, valuable. And I believe that this also relates to the larger concern that we are having right now in the form of racism. And racism is rooted in the idea that people of certain ethnicity, certain really color of skin, really have this sort of a collective identity that people who are not of that races get to decide and label and categorize and have certain preconceived notions about that. And in some ways, that is allowed to exist to this day, that is perpetuated by the fact that so many of us still are very much unrealized individuals, and we're not allowing ourselves to sort of show up with our own little quirks and individuality in the name of fitting in and sort of molding ourselves to be more acceptable and more in demand or more attractive in some ways. I'm still struggling with what do I have to say or do in this realization that we still have much work to do as far as breaking down the racism that exists. And if, for example, if somebody were to ask me, so how do you identify yourself? I'm an Asian. Well, I'm Japanese, right? And that means I'm an Asian. And being Asian means that by definition I'm a person of color, because I'm not white. Now, I live in the United States and I work with mostly white people. Most of my friends are white. One time my father asked me, son, you are Japanese, and just because you live in United States and you learned how to speak English really well doesn't change the fact that you're Japanese. So it's in your best interest to go someplace where your Japaneseness is an asset to you, because if you are just living in America doing everything that any general American people can do, you are missing out on what makes you unique. I think it was a really wise advice that my father gave me, but I'm still trying to figure out, okay, so what does that mean exactly? I was born in Japan, but I only lived there until I was 12, so I am of a Japanese descent, but I'm very much a citizen of the world. And I came to United States because I was really inspired by rock music sung in English, performed by white guys in long hair. And I to this day, I feel like, I tell people that I'm from Japan and I have my accent still, and I think that most of my friends realize that, most of my white friends realize that I am not like them, but yet I don't know to what extent does that difference come through. And I myself, sometimes I'm not sure if I am in a place where my uniqueness, my distinctness really is being recognized or acknowledged, and maybe I am very much trying to assimilate into primarily Caucasian social circles, knowing fully well that I am not one of them, and I will never be, and I don't want to be either. I am Japanese, and I like the fact that I'm Japanese, but I am a Japanese living in America. I don't relate very well to Japanese people living in Japan either. So where am I going with this? I feel like just as a society we're not quite enlightened enough to really sort of steer ourselves away from the comfort and ease of organization that comes from homogeny. And I'm not pointing fingers at American people, because if you go to Japan, I know that there is rampant racism there, and that especially people of darker skin from like Southeast Asia, they're treated not. I mean, well, they're not treated very well. And the same thing with how women are treated in Japan. Also, some of the things that I hear about from sort of my American sensibility, I'm appalled. And so it just seems like whoever got to claim the supremacy in the society, whether it's the men or whether it's the white cultures, they sort of took over the society, and they got to broadcast their own values, and then everybody's kind of being spoon-fed those values, and they're all kind of going, oh, okay, so if I'm gonna make it here, or if I'm gonna stake my own place here, I better kind of conform to that. And then we are still very much there, in that there is the standard that is set by the group who sort of claim the superiority first, and the rest of us kind of are still kind of going, whoa, wait a minute, how do I fit in here? How do I be me in this particular climate or society? I realize this is kind of abstract talk, but we all have to realize that it has to start with the realization that we discover who we are, and then we try to find a place where who we are fits in, or is at least valued, right? From a musical perspective, if I was giving my 18-year-old me an advice, I would say, hey, look, Ari, I know you are very interested in rock music, and you want to go someplace where the kind of music that you want to do has a valid and established industry, where people are doing what you want to do and are making a fine living, and is having a valid career. And there are only a few cities in the world where that is true. Places like Los Angeles and New York City. And this was the days before internet, right? Internet changes things somewhat, but not completely. But it just starts out with sort of me discovering that, yeah, I feel I resonate with this music, and it, rock music in Japanese doesn't quite do for me. This is what I really just deeply resonate with. This is who I am. And then going, okay, so where do I go to be me? And to expand it further, as an Asian person or as a black person, but then you might feel this, there are certain sort of stereotypes that exist within our ethnic groups, but then you might go, well, I don't fit that here, and I fit that there. Well, it doesn't matter whether you fit that stereotype or not, right? You discover who you are, and then you go, as I go, as a Japanese rock guitarist who has passion for impactful songwriting, what can I do? Where can I go? How can I tell the world that here I am? I want to be of value to you. I want to do something good here. I want to make a mark. I want to exist and make an impact, right? If each of us went on that journey of first discovering who we are, and then from there on went on the other second part of the journey of where is the place for somebody like me, I feel like, and this might be a stretch, I admit, but that can contribute to breaking down these stereotypes and sort of preconceived notion of what people are like from different cultures or different ethnicities. Because ultimately, homogeneity, homogeneity is that the word? Anyway, is an illusion, right? It's an old world idea that needs to be broken down. Is that Japan is not a country made up of just Japanese people anymore. Society is not made up of just male leaders. United States is a country made up of immigrants. And for all the talks of diversity and valuing diversity and differences, where we're still here where there is a clear superiority established, and then the rest of us are trying to sort of fit into that world. If each of us could realize our own distinctness and sort of go on that journey of finding a place where you fit in, then it starts to really reveal the true diversity that exists. And when there's diversity, it becomes harder to have prejudice-based notions like racism. Alright, so I know this turned into a really big sort of heady talk, and I don't know how much practical value there is in there, but so that's sort of where I am with my head. I just really wanted to think on how my own finding a voice as a musician can really sort of connect to the larger struggles or challenges that we're facing in the world, and that is my measly attempt to do that. And I realized that my lighting is getting kind of bad, so I really need to end here. So thank you again for watching. If you have any thoughts, I would love to receive it and have a dialogue with you. Let me know. Thanks. I'll see you next time.